Hello everybody, welcome back to another video of biology of cells and tissues. We're going to continue with the special sensory organs, jumping into the ear. Of course, if you can, leave a like on the video, subscribe if you haven't already, helps out a lot, and we'll jump right in. So we're going to talk about the anatomy and functions of the ear, the histology of the ear, internal ear and the ear cranial nerves, as well as the cochlea. So these are what we're going to talk about. The ear is divided up into three divisions: the external, the middle, and the inner ear. We're also going to talk about a couple of different structures, all listed right there. So here is the ear. External ear, right here, we have the division at the tympanic membrane, and then we have the middle ear, and then we have the division again where the bones ends before we get into the whole inner ear, which is the vestibule and the cochlea and all of that good stuff that is in there. So we're going to start from the outside and work our way in. So the outer portion of the ear, we have the auricle, meaning the ear-like structure, also called the pinna. If you think about your anatomy course that you've been having, when you talk about the sacrum, with kind of the wing, more like the parts where the pelvis joins into the sacrum, that's the auricle of the sacrum, because it's ear shaped. So that is our ear. It has two specific structures. There's the helix, which is more of this outer cartilaginous rim, and then we have the lobule, which is the fleshy earlobe part. And of course we have the external acoustic meatus. So the whole outer ear acts as a funnel, essentially, to funnel sounds into this external acoustic meatus in order to get to the eardrum. As well, another question, something that you get asked about often is the technical term for earwax. Cerumen is a term for earwax. If we have too much earwax, you get compaction of the eardrum. Next, the middle ear. We have a couple of structures in the middle ear. We start off, we have the tympanic membrane. So this really depends on your specific professor. Most sources will say that the tympanic membrane is considered part of the middle ear. Sometimes people loop it with the external ear. It really just kind of depends on the professor and what they're actually looking for. I personally believe it is part of the middle ear, as you know, it is the structure of it and the way that it's attached is more linked to the middle ear. So it acts as the boundary. It's a thin, translucent connective tissue membrane, and it vibrates in response to sound waves, and that transfers that through the auditory ossicles. These are our auditory ossicles. There's three of them. We have the malleus, or the hammer mallet, malleus mallet. This is the first one. This is when it actually attaches directly to, and it's connected directly to the tympanic membrane or the eardrum. Next, we have the incus, or the anvil, because it's shaped like an anvil. And then finally, the stapes, which actually sits into something called the oval window, which is going to connect the middle ear to the inner ear. All right? And these bones are absolutely tiny. The stapes is, if I'm remembering correctly, the stapes is the smallest bone in the entire human body. So you get these teeny, teeny, tiny little bones, because that's a finger right there. All three of them fit right there. As well as these bones are actually connected through synovial joints. The incus and stapes have a ball and socket joint, and then the malleus and the incus actually have like a saddle type joint, which I think is really, really kind of cool. These are all suspended by ligaments, and then they also have these two muscles, the tensor tympani and the stapedius muscle, which these contract to, especially when there's loud sounds, to prevent hearing damage. So here is our tensor tympani muscle, and then our stapedius muscle. So if we get a sudden, really loud sound, not only does our body naturally have a reflex to cover our ears and kind of turn away from the sound, or turn our ears away from the sound, these muscles contract to hold the bones and prevent aggressive vibration from going into our ear and getting processed by the brain. That is part of the middle ear. We also have a tube called the pharyngotympanic or the auditory tube. Technically, it was formerly called the eustachian tube. However, that is the only way I have ever heard people refer to it still, as I think it's just the more common knowledge one. I think the name, I'm not sure exactly what brought about the name change. However, most of the time in real life, you're going to hear eustachian tube, but for testing purposes, make sure that you know pharyngotympanic or auditory tube. And this is a tube that actually connects the middle ear to the nasopharynx. So this tube right here goes and it connects to the nasopharynx. And that is, remember the nasal cavity, and then we have the nasopharynx, which goes into the oropharynx and then the hypopharynx. So it connects to the nasopharynx. Typically, the tube is flat, but it can be opened by yawning or swallowing. And its job is to equalize pressure in the middle ear cavity. So this is why they say, chew gum, swallow, yawn, any of those kind of things. Hold your ears, blow, pop. If you do that, gently, of course, do it very, very gently. You can pop your ears, and that is equalizing the pressure between your inner ear and the outside. So that is the purpose of this eustachian tube. And because the tympanic membrane cannot vibrate properly if the pressures are unbalanced. Finally, the internal ear. This is the most important, where most of our focus is going to be on, talking about the ear. So we also call it the labyrinth or the maze. It's located in the temporal bone behind the eye socket. So we have our frontal bone here, and then we have our temporal bone here off to the side. We have parietal bones, temporal bone, a little bit deeper in that region. There's two major divisions. We have the bony labyrinth, which contains the vestibule, semicircular canals, and cochlea, and then the membranous labyrinth, which we'll talk about in a sec. And the nerves that we have the vestibular nerve and the cochlear nerve, which are actually grouped together as one single cranial nerve. Maybe if I can get this to... Oh, there we go. Called the vestibular cochlear nerve, cranial nerve 8. But we can see the specific divisions, what they're used for, before they come together into one nerve. So, starting with the membranous labyrinth, I just want to bring this up because we don't necessarily talk about the membranous labyrinth on itself, because really, the bony labyrinth, it's all the bone structure, and then the membranes all run through the bony structure. So they're really essentially one maze, but all the components held within itself. The membranous labyrinth, these are the ducts and the sacs and that kind of stuff that we'll talk about. So the cochlear duct inside of the cochlea, the saccule and the utricle, these are membranous sacs within the vestibule, and then the 3 semicircular ducts are within the semicircular canals of the bony labyrinth. So the membranous labyrinth sits inside of the bony labyrinth. So we're going to discuss each of those kind of as we go along. This is what the membranous labyrinth looks like. These ducts and all this good stuff. And really, this should be more up here. Actually, no. This is correct. Bony labyrinth, a little bit more detail. This serves as the protective framework. And actually, my son just woke up from his nap and is crying. So this is I'm going to end this first part here, and I'm going to pick up and continue on this second part later this evening when he is down again. Thank you everybody for watching. Have a wonderful day and good luck studying.